The chateau into which I had ventured to make forcible entrance was one of those piles of commingled gloom and grandeur. To all appearance, it had been temporarily and very lately abandoned. Its decorations were rich, yet tattered and antique. Its walls were hung with an unusually great number of very spirited modern paintings. In these paintings I had taken such a deep interest that I resigned myself, if not to sleep, to the contemplation of these pictures, and the perusal of a small volume which had been found upon the pillow of the bed I decided would be mine for the night, and which purported to criticize and describe them. The position of the light displeased me, and outreaching my hand with difficulty, I placed it so as to throw its rays more fully upon the book. But the action produced an effect altogether unanticipated. The rays of luminance now fell within a niche of the room which had hitherto been thrown into deep shade by one of the bedposts. I thus saw in vivid light a picture unnoticed before. It was the portrait of a young girl just ripening into womanhood. A mere head and shoulders, done in what is technically termed a vignette manner. The frame was oval, and as a thing of art, nothing could be more admirable than the painting itself. But it could have been neither the execution of the work, nor the immortal beauty of the countenance which had so vehemently moved me. I had found the spell of the picture and an absolute lifelike expression, which at first startling, finally confounded, subdued, and appalled me. I sought eagerly through the volume which discussed the paintings and their histories. Turning to the number which designated the oval portrait, I there read the vague and quaint words which follow. She was a maiden of rarest beauty, and not more lovely than full of glee. Evil was the hour when she saw, and loved, and wedded the painter. He, passionate, studious, austere, and having already a bride in his art. Yes, she was a maiden of rarest beauty, hating only the art which was her rival, dreading only the palette and brushes and other untoward instruments which deprived her of the countenance of her lover. It was thus a terrible thing for this lady to hear the painter speak of his desire to portray her in oils and brushstroke, but she was humble and obedient, and sat meekly for many weeks in the dark, high turret chamber where the light dripped upon the pale canvas only from overhead. The painter took glory in his work, which went on from hour to hour and from day to day. He was a passionate, wild, and moody man who became lost in his task. Yet she smiled on and still on, uncomplainingly, because she saw that the painter took a fervid and burning pleasure in his task, and wrought day and night to depict her who so loved him. As the labor drew nearer to its conclusion, the painter had grown wild with the ardor of his work, and turned his eyes from the canvas rarely, even to regard the countenance of his wife. And then the last stroke was given, and then the last tint was placed, and for one moment the painter stood entranced before the work which he had wrought, and crying with a loud voice, "This is indeed life itself!" He then turned suddenly to regard his sleeping wife, eager to show her the result of his dedication to portraying her beauty on canvas. But she was not sleeping. She was dead.